I'm going to be trying to be making boba. It makes the situations good to just try new things against the will of my parents. Makeup advice after being cheated, regret it or not. People just focus so. We went through a lot of rough. Dump that person. Being alone is really stressful as social media. Hi guys. So I'm gonna do a heart to Hannah, but simultaneously I'm going to be trying to be making boba, just the boba balls, because I bought like a separate milk tea thing. So let me just pull up your questions. Okay, things you miss about the US now that you live in Korea. Sorry, I thought I was recording. I'm just mixing brown sugar and water together. But basically, I was saying that I feel like the thing I miss the most is just being able to understand everything. For example, going to the bank or the hospital, like those big important things. I understand about 60 to 70%, if I'm being generous, of what is going on when I go to these places. But because I look Korean, they'll start speaking to me in Korean really fast. And because I understand around 60 to 70%, when I tell them I don't really understand what's going on, I feel like it can get a little confusing and frustrating for it's not their fault because I look Korean. I mean, I am Korean and I'm in Korea and I'm understanding most of what they're saying. It makes the situations confusing. I think another thing that I miss is just being able to have, I'm gonna prop this up. I think just being able to have casual conversations as well. Adding a little bit of tapioca starch in. For example, when I'm walking my dogs, I wish that I could just have these conversations that I would have with dog owners if we were all speaking English. It's just normal stuff like that. I do feel I'm a pretty conversational person, but because I don't speak Korean that well, I get really shy and I tend to avoid a lot of conversation with strangers. So I think that's what I miss most about the US is just understanding is just fully understanding everything, being able to understand jokes and cultural things and just stuff like that, you know? Okay, I'm supposed to knead this until it's like smooth. Also, I'm doing this for the first time, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But I think it's good to just try new things. How to not let your family make you feel bad for leaving to start your life again. After they helped you during one of the hardest times in your life, they guilt trip you a lot too. I feel like that's hard because you obviously are super thankful, but if you feel like you need to get away to be able to get better and feel better and grow and I guess be able to just keep moving in life, if you feel like you have to do this, then I feel like there is no how to not let that feeling get to you. I feel like it's more just reminding yourself why you have to do this. It's not like you're trying to hurt them and trying to explain in the best way possible that you're so thankful for them and obviously they care about you because they did try and help you so much during, I guess, one of a really like a low point in your life. But you have to do this for yourself, and if they don't understand that, that's just something you have to carry with you, I guess, knowing that you are doing the right thing. I feel like a lot of decisions in life, they aren't clear cut, right? Like not everyone will probably be happy with mostly like big decisions that you make, whether it's yourself or it's somebody else. And I guess it depends on what you want. Like, do you want to make this decision for yourself or do you want to make this decision for somebody else? I think for the most part, a lot of your decisions should be made thinking of you in mind. Obviously, you should always think about the people that you love because you care about them and you don't want to hurt them. But given the way you phrased this question, I think the people that love and care about you, once they see you getting better, they will understand why you did what you did. Obviously, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I have no details about this question, but I was just thinking more about myself, like, also, just take this with a grain of salt, okay? I'm not like telling you to go leave your family, okay? I'm telling you some things that you can think about if you're trying to make a decision like this. It's ultimately all up to you and just thinking about the decision and the effects of this decision, how it will help you, how it will hurt them, and thinking about like a balance, I guess. When I got out of college, I had just kind of quit the idea of going to med school, and I was really kind of just not sure what I wanted to do. And that's why I kind of started YouTube, because I really loved watching videos and I really wanted to learn how to make my own. And honestly, I was kind of delulu, and I was like, if I just keep doing this, like I'm definitely going to be able to be like one of the other big content creators and do this for a living. Like I legitimately thought 100% there's no way I could fail. I missed that false sense of confidence that I had. But anyways, Jimmy had gotten a job in San Francisco, and at the time I really didn't want to leave Dallas because my parents and the uncertainty of flying across the country to be with your boyfriend when you don't have a job, that's very irresponsible. And obviously my parents were like, what the heck are you thinking? Like, don't go. And then I ended up talking to my sister, and she was like, honestly, you really have nothing to lose. Like, you don't have anything here anyway, and you've always done what your parents wanted, our parents wanted you to do, so like you should just make this leap. And so I kind of followed her advice, and I did at the very, what's it called, at the against the will of my parents, the very strong will of my parents. And we kind of had a little bit of a rocky relationship during that time, because they were just like, are you making any money? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you and Jimmy doing? Are you guys not going to get married? Like, blah, blah, blah. And so I actually had to kind of just distance myself from them, which I'm sure didn't make them feel good, but it was really good for me because I was very reliant on their approval. And I knew that if I wanted to become a whole person and not always feel like I have to get the yes from whether it be Jimmy or my parents, I needed to just distance myself from them. So anyways, I did that, and I think it's been really good for me in the long run. And I've always carried that kind of thoughts with me. That's why I moved to New York, because I was like, well, you know, nothing's really wrong in our relationship between me and Jimmy, but I've never lived without him. And I was like, I'm just gonna go by myself to New York for a bit to prove to myself basically that I didn't have to live with him. Look at my little dough. I'm gonna put this in the fridge. Okay, so it says mix the tapioca starch and the cocoa powder, which I put in this cup, evenly. I'm just gonna use a bigger bowl. So I'm making two kinds of boba balls. So the first one was like the light colored boba balls, and I guess these are the darker colored boba balls. Hence the cocoa powder. All right, this one says breakup advice after being cheated on and trying to convince yourself that it's not because of you. I don't have like much experience in this, but I feel like a lot of people say that the advice a lot of people give when it happens is like, you didn't do anything, it was their decision, like blah, blah. But I do think it's really hard, like if it were to happen, not to think that if I had been doing this, this, or this, maybe they would have stayed and like liked me more. I don't know. Or like if I had looked or acted like the person that they cheated on me with, then maybe they wouldn't have looked anywhere else, kind of thing. I'm a spiraler. So I totally understand why it's like super hard to rationalize with your feelings. Like, oh, you know, sorry, 1 second. Oh, okay, boiling. Basically thinking like, you know, that in your mind, you know, I didn't do anything. They did it because they made a decision, whether they regret it or not. They made the wrong decision, and that just happens in life, I guess. Sorry guys, I'm just like a little, this is heating up a lot faster than last time, so I'm like, ah. Anyways, I was saying it's hard to rationalize with what you know and like how you actually feel. I think that honestly, just kind of taking this time to do things for yourself. Therapy can be expensive, but probably going to therapy and maybe like talking through these, like the logical part of your mind and like the emotional part of your mind would probably help, but I know it's expensive. So maybe just doing things that make you happy, doing things that you've never really done before. And I also think using those experiences to like learn things about yourself. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is just like kind of being selfish and really learning about yourself and doing things for yourself. I feel like that might help because you are special and you didn't deserve that, and you should treat yourself by like fueling your mind and your soul, as cheesy as that sounds. Yeah, I think just trying to do things to remind yourself that you are like worth more than what that person did to you. I don't know if that helps. All right, we're gonna knead this flour again. I'm more excited about this boba ball. I feel like it's gonna be really yummy. How do you and Jimmy resolve conflict within your relationship? I feel like I've answered this one before, but sometimes I like to answer questions again because maybe my answer has changed. But this one says, how do you and Jimmy resolve conflict within your relationship? And honestly, I feel like I've always said just being able to talk things out is super important. Like just being honest with each other and blah, blah, blah. I've also said, which I still stand by, that it's important to be able to speak to each other in a way that doesn't make anyone feel like they're being judged or attacked or misunderstood, because it makes conversations a lot harder to have, like, and feel safe. So I still stand by a lot of those things. I think another thing that I would add is that I think it's actually really hard for people, getting dough all over my hair, but I think it's actually really hard for people to listen because people just focus so much on how to talk to somebody that you forget that you have to listen a lot more than talk, I feel like. I've noticed with Jimmy, he isn't very good when we're having discussions. It's funny because he's actually really good at having discussions with other people. Like, he's very logical. He doesn't get emotional. He doesn't feel like flustered, but I feel like because a lot of the discussions that him and I have are a lot more emotions based, like having to understand like why something hurt each other's feelings or something of that nature, he needs more time to think. And I'm very like I can say everything how I like explain how I feel like pretty quickly to him. Or when I don't, one thing that he does really well that I am learning to just follow his lead is when I'm working out my feelings in the moment, just to let me work them out and not have something to say after every line that I say. I don't know if that makes sense, because eventually I'll get there. I'll be like, oh, that's not why I was actually sad. This is why I was actually sad. And then it kind of all comes together, but I feel like I kind of have to go through a lot of conversation to get there. And usually those conversations happen internally, but sometimes they'll happen as I'm talking to Jimmy. But anyways, yeah, I think just listening is really good. Like, I've learned that from Jimmy because he's such a good listener that I really need to just shut up and wait for him to have complete thoughts and express himself fully to the point where he feels satisfied before I say something, because then I really also feel like that gave me time to really absorb what he said and understand before letting my emotions get in the way. Like, if we're having some conflict and I'm feeling negative or heated, then I think it's important for me to always remind myself, okay, just let him talk, really try and understand what he's saying, where he's coming from, and those reasons like are valid reasons. And that's helped me so much because it makes the discussions a lot smoother and shorter, because I'm not just picking a fight or being devil's advocate just to do it. And vice versa. Jimmy's a very big devil's advocate person. He always likes to have little arguments or discussions. But when it comes to actual serious conflicts, like, he's learned that's not the right place and time to do it unless it's actually like productive. Anyways, I feel like I was rambling then, but yeah, I just feel like listening is such a big component to resolving conflict. Listening and understanding and absorbing and making sure the other person feels like validated and heard. I don't know, I just don't feel like I've ever said that enough, so I really wanted to like say it. Okay, this boba ball making process is no joke. I think I might actually just use this one to make boba balls because I don't know if I can ball up 2 balls. I'm saying balls a lot, but I don't know if I can do both of them. Like my hand's already getting pretty tired and I know I have to cut these and put them into little balls. So I think I'm just gonna do this one. Okay, the next question is how to deal with feeling like you love your boyfriend more than he loves you. I chose this one because, as you guys know, I always say as you guys know because I know a lot of you guys aren't new followers and that a lot of you guys are older followers. So you know that when me and Jimmy were first started dating, we were very young, like 18 years old. And for like a while, obviously we were really little. So for a while, like, because we were trying to learn how to be real people, we went through a lot of rough patches, and one of them was the fact that I felt really insecure, that I was super clingy, aka I felt like I loved Jimmy more than he loved me. Also, guys, I'm supposed to do this, and it kind of looks like sweet potato or poop. So basically how I dealt with it was Jimmy kind of letting me know that, I mean, he was pretty blunt about it. He was like basically saying how we have to be able to be in college and be our own people. Like we can't just always be together, stuck to each other, especially because there was a lot of things that Jimmy wanted to experience in life. He's a very adventurous soul. He's very used to just being alone as well and having solo experiences. And I think when we were that age, a lot of kids want that, and I felt like insecure because I felt like I was losing him to all these things. Like, why doesn't he want to be with me all the time if he really loved me? When you love something, you want to be with it all the time. And I couldn't understand like why he wouldn't want to be together all the time. Like I didn't understand why he wanted to go off and join all of these clubs and spend all like more time with other people than me. And granted, I think like also he wasn't gentle with me about explaining those feelings to me. Obviously we've talked about it and we know now that that's how we felt, or he felt, and how I felt. Anyways, how I dealt with it back then was I was actually pretty mature. I felt like I heard him and I saw his actions and I was like, okay, he really wants to have all of these experiences and I can't be the thing that stops him. Sorry, I don't know why the camera was facing down. I was just trying to show you what I was doing and then I got caught up in the explanation. I realized that I understood and I accepted that that is how he wanted to experience his college experience. And I kind of then tried to do that too. I wasn't as successful. I really just wanted to be with him all the time. Like I had no sense of solo time until he kind of forced me to. He was like, either we do this or I don't know if we can be together. And I was like, I don't want to lose you, so let's just try it. I started doing things for myself, making friends for myself, and trying to be able to spend time with those friends and make relationships with them. And I think a lot of that actually mostly happened outside of college. When we moved to San Francisco. And then over time, I got better and better at it because I was still, like, it wasn't like, oh, after one conversation, I knew. It was over years, I was trying to like become my own person and not rely on emotional support from him or anybody else for a long time. Anyways, I don't know if your situation is similar to mine, but I think it really depends on the situation. Like, I obviously think that every situation is different and that if you really feel this way and it's true and like he's just not explaining what he needs or like why, like what you guys could do to make this feeling a little bit less, because that's what me and Jimmy did. Like over time we started discussing this issue and we realized what the issue was. And we kind of figured it out from there. I do think sometimes though, like those aren't the right relationships to be in. Like I was telling Jimmy actually that if we had a kid one day and they were telling me a situation that they were in that was very similar to what me and Jimmy were in, I would be like, dump that person. You deserve more than someone who doesn't care about you as much as you care about them. Obviously, I can't say that because I was that person. That would be hypocritical. But I'm just trying to say that if your situation is similar to mine, then maybe you could take it with a grain of salt. If not, then maybe you should think about, you know, is this like really the person I want to be with? Like someone who makes me feel this way. So, okay, I'm gonna like roll all these little thingies and I'll be back because this is gonna take me 9,000 years. Looks like dog food. I didn't make the full boba pearls because I'm just feeding myself and I don't want to be wasteful, so I have to let that boil. Okay, somebody asked, what should I be doing in my early 20s? I think traveling and just having a lot of experiences. I think on social media, it's really hard because I feel like you're just constantly comparing yourself to others, and I know that there's a lot of really successful content creators who are very fortunate and worked really hard to obtain a lifestyle that isn't normal for a 20-year-old, I think. And I think it's hard because you want to be successful and want to attain a certain lifestyle, but I also think that's just like not the main goal. I think a lot of my fondest memories are when I've had to struggle with friends or with Jimmy or whatever, and in those moments it was really stressful and hard, but then when I look back, I'm like, those were some really great formative memories that I have with people, and I learned a lot and stuff like that. So I think just not thinking so hard about like what you should be or where you should be at or who you should be in your 20s. Like I think there should be a lot less emphasis on that, and I think it should just be more about you're young. Like I saw this one person, older person talking about how, or older couple talking about how they wish that they wish that they had traveled more when they were young. Like sure, they said now we are financially stable and so now we like go travel around the world, but they can't do the things that they wanted to do because it requires a lot of, not that I'm saying when you're older you can't do it, but I think as you get older, like you start feeling it in your physicalness a lot more, not being able to keep up, you're not as agile, like blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of older folk that are like athletes and can still do all that stuff, but you know what I'm saying, like generally. And so I think that's something that I think is important, is like, I think that everyone should try to experience things. And I'm not just talking about like travel, I'm just talking about experience anything, even if it's not as like lavish or as social media-y as you see on your phone. I don't know if this is making any sense. I think where you should be in your 20s is just trying to have a lot of experiences, is gain a lot of different kinds of experiences. And it's okay to be uncomfortable and it's okay to struggle, but don't be so stressed and all up in your mind about where you should be. Just like experience things as they come, you know? Okay guys, so I put all my boba balls in here. I don't know if you can see. Ah, it's dripping. I think I made the boba balls like a little too thick. Like I should have rolled them up into smaller pieces, but it's okay. I'll try again next time. But I have this really cute little Ghibli cup. All right, and then I'm gonna put some of these heart ice cubes in. I don't know if you can see. I got this royal milk tea, like this, and I'm gonna just put it in here. I have this boba straw. Ta-da! All right, let's see if it tastes good. Oh my God, I did pretty good. I think I want some more ice though. Wait, I'm actually really proud of myself. I did it! I've been wanting to do this, but I've been putting it off because I was like, this looks hard. Yeah, the boba ball, like it's stuck. But, okay. All right guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm actually gonna take this to Tootie and make them try it. But I hope you guys enjoy this heart to Hannah. I'll try and do them more often. I know I always say that, but thanks for watching.